orbital, orbital. I'm going to read the definition. Of, relating to, or describing an orbit. A subdivision of the energy levels of the electronic structure of an atom or molecule in which the motion of a single electron is represented in terms of quantized state of angular momentum that is described mathematically by a wave function. Okay, that was torturous. So I had prior to opening the book, I considered a definition of orbital as it relates to people, and it's that young children, so that's every person who's ever lived, like orbits essentially around sources of warmth. So that includes reptiles, that includes people for sure. That includes frogs, that includes fish, that includes everything. Every living thing on this planet is orbiting around a source of warmth. That warmth may be from a machine. That warmth may be from another person's body. That warmth may be from a mammal. So a child could orbit around a puppy because they want to be warm with the puppy. A child could orbit around hot water, warm water, because it's warm, you know? So there's all sorts of ways, or may hide under blankets and stuff like that to stay warm. So I was considering that definition of orbital. And so I'm gonna look up some words, see what happens. It says sovereignty. So sovereignty, to my understanding, is basically autonomy, is like choice. So it's choice, and choice, that requires option in the first place. Undisputed political power, the state or quality of being sovereign, the status or authority of a sovereign state. So that's page 950. So that's from ion. And act or state as in induction, confusion. Oh, it's un, like the prefix, suffix. Yeah, suffix un. But above that is ion. So there's un and there's ion. So, yeah, if you're interested, you could go look up the word ion. That's not what my finger landed on, but it says ion. It said un, like the suffix un, like, for example, gravitation, or you can add that suffix to a lot of words, but ion is something else that was above it. You can go look that up if you'd like. That's ion, I-O-N, ion. But the word I'm interested in is orbital, orbital, orbital. Okay. So this is minute hand and minute man. I'll read minute hand. The long hand of a watch or clock, marking the minutes as it moves on an hourly circuit. So that's going around and around and around and around. It's actually going this way, around and around and around and around and around and around and around. So that's what a minute hand does. It went to the, and it says, used to denote the particular person or thing or particular kind out of many identified by a modifier. For example, the next house, the man who lives there, the car of the year, the duty to vote, the spoken word. So I guess the is something that clings, like as a, that's what it's trying to demonstrate, that it kind of like the word the, it is a flexible word that can, it just kind of goes where it, goes where it's going, where, kind of like an orbital, I don't know. Okay. Okay, so this is Marilyn Monroe, and the line is, her life is recounted in After the Fall and Marilyn, and in the play The Goddess. I don't know, I'm thinking like, is memory something that also clings? Like, is that a sort of orbital? Is like memory clinging, like, memory of real people circulates. Okay, so this one says snow. Frozen water vapor which falls to the earth in soft white crystalline flakes. So that is definitely, it's called the water cycle, and it actually does orbit around warmth. So snow is created only after it's been heated up and then taken to the sky. So water has to get so warm and from heat. Sorry. Water has to get so warm. Again, I made a mistake in my speaking. Water has to get so hot by warmth that it is lifted and taken to the sky, and then eventually it cools down, and then it is then it is brought down by gravity. So in that way, it's kind of also like an orbital around heat, right? Initiated by heat. This one says leveling rod. Okay, this is a term that relates to blood, to blood cleaning itself. So that's like another cyclical process. It says leukophoresis. On this side, it says leveling rod, a rod used to measure the vertical distance between a point on the earth and the sight line of a surveyor's level. Okay, and then this one says the removal of leukocytes from the blood for the purpose of donation, with the other blood portion returned to the donor. Okay, so that's like removal of leukocytes from blood. It says sensuality and sensuous. Oh, it says sorry, that's not what it says it says it says sensualistic, and it says sensuality, great liking for sensual pleasures. So that is like attraction to warmth. I feel like that's just like a very basic kind of way. I mean, like it's like very reductive, but it's kind of in that way. That's kind of what it is. Okay, so this one has to do with, it says Pahlavi, Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. And the sentence is, from 1978, opposition to him centered around the Ayatollah Khomeini, and in 1979 the Shah was deposed. So it's kind of like adjustment. There's like this like part of I don't know if it's like part of an orbital, like there's a preset definition to orbital, but when as it relates to heat, is kind of like always dropping back down, like power dynamics like that, as it relates to, like, for example, the Ayatollah Khomeini. Yeah, I remember learning about that in high school. I probably wrote an essay about it. And that is like the power imbalance, the power dynamics always have to drop down to where it is sustainable, like sustainable heat, sustainable heat. Yeah. Last one. It says jet lag. It's not quite in orbit. I mean, getting on a plane, it's not quite in orbit, but it's actually, when someone has jet lag, it's because they have gotten out of orbit, literally. Actually, when someone is jet lagged, it's because they're out of orbit. So if a child gets on the plane, like let's say they're asleep, and then they wake up and they get on the plane, and then they fall asleep on the plane, and then they wake up and then they get off the plane, and then when they fall asleep again and they wake up again, and then they're not right back to the same place where they started, then that can cause it's like, whoa, how did that happen so quickly? Like, it doesn't make sense to the body. Like, even though the even though there's like this like logic that's like, yes, different time, like, you know, like there's a lot, there's like this calming, it's like, it's like the people who are around that child will be like, oh, it's normal, don't be afraid. Um, you know, you'll adjust, or you know, he's like it's not a problem, that kind of thing. So that is what help. That's you know, a way to cope with it, not cope with, but deal with, but really just force someone to try to force a child to ignore jet lag. But ultimately, anyone who experiences jet lag understands that it's like discontinuation. It's like a discontinuation of the previous like spin that they were experiencing. The previous spin that they were experiencing. All right. Well, I'm gonna go brush my teeth and get to bed.